Hey there, friends. Welcome back to As a Man Thinketh on UNAS TV. How many of you have heard of a rural sacrifice zone? I'm pretty sure that most of us who are outside of major cities on farms and ranches are all very familiar with what a rural sacrifice zone is. But to give you an example, in southwest Utah, Pine Valley is what they are considering a rural sacrifice zone. And that means that in order for neighboring Iron County's Cedar City to expand, they're willing to sacrifice the livelihoods and ranchers and ranches and really agricultural production in the neighboring Pine Valley in order to make that happen. Because what's more important to a lot of these people is continued growth, economic development, and let's just face it, ranchers and farmers are getting in the way. So they create these areas that they call rural sacrifice zones. And farmers and ranchers who live in those areas are at risk of losing everything all the time. Love what you see on UNAS TV? Get even more on Substack. If you value the real stories, opinions, and in-depth coverage we bring you here on UNAS TV, you will love what we're doing on Substack. It's our uncensored home for investigative journalism, exclusive updates, and extended content you won't find on YouTube, including early access to stories, opinion articles, and insights into the fight for farmers and ranchers' rights. Join us at UNASA TV Substack, www.unasa.tv, and be a part of a growing community committed to truth, transparency, and rural resilience. So what happened is Cedar City and Iron County, they're running a deficit of about 7,000 acre-feet a year on their aquifer. They're just overusing it. They haven't paid attention to any of the warning signs. They've continued to grow. They've continued to line their pockets with economic activity. So instead, what they did was they went out over into Pine Valley and purchased water rights. And then their plan has been to build a 66 to 70 mile water pipeline and pump that water from the aquifer in that neighboring county into their county so that they can continue to grow and prosper. They plan on being sustainable as they do this, by the way. They're going to build a 200-acre solar farm to power this pipeline. So it's perfectly sustainable and environmentally unsound. Studies show that this pipeline could drop the aquifer in the neighboring county where Pine Valley is located by 14 to 15%, which to farmers like Mark Winch, who runs a 1,200-acre cattle ranch, that would cause him to lose everything. It would cut off irrigation, his crops would die, he wouldn't be able to water his livestock. And Mark's concerns are actually backed up by a lot of hydrologists who say that a 14% to 15% drop in the aquifer would cut off a lot of wells. There would be hundreds of ranchers that would simply have to stop ranching. They would go out of it. They have no other resource for water to take care of their animals, to take care of their land. I mean, it would literally deplete springs in the area, natural springs. Every day, more and more Americans are waking up to the fact that our society is simply unhealthy. We've been being fed poisons and being told to put poisons on our body by corporate America for years. A lot of the things that we've been told were bad for us, like animal fats, are actually good for our bodies. Your skin is the largest organ of your body, which is why on UNASA Trade & Co., we're pleased to offer you guys Bison Tallow lotions and creams. These Bison Tallow lotions and creams are amazing. They're not made by a big corporation. They're made by a homesteader, just like you guys, our friends out of Canada, Dr. Nathaniel and Susan Ostashowski. We've visited numerous bison ranches and farms and parks across the entire continent of North America. And these are some really great people who have come up with some really great products, and you can buy them on UNASA Trade & Co. and support this program and support your health all at the same time. Now, Pine Valley is actually located in Beaver County, and unlike Iron County, which is all in favor of this, Beaver County is against it. But the reason why Iron County has the ability and the strength to go into Beaver County and take their water and basically destroy their residents, destroy their agricultural operations, drain their streams, is because they have more political pull. It's just like all the big cities in the United States. When you look at an electoral map, everybody starts sweating because you've got these massive cities that have complete control over a lot of the rural areas, and it's really hard for people in rural areas to have a voice, to the point where they just call them rural sacrifice zones now. in a Pine Valley meeting, one of the ranchers said, "We get nothing but the consequences. No water, no voice, no help when things go wrong." Many of you have noticed that we keep wearing these leather patch hats that say "Defend the Right to Farm" on them. These leather patch hats support our nonprofit, Meet My Neighbor Productions. You can get your hat at Yanasa Trading Co. and help us defend the right to farm through education, outreach, and, as we've been doing over the last couple of years, farm relief efforts. So get your leather patch hat and let others know that you defend the right to farm. So let's get into a little bit of the background on this so you can see at what stage of the process it is. This is obviously has been very controversial over the years. It hasn't taken off and gotten completed like a lot of things do really fast because, like I said, there's been a lot of people who have been against it. They originally applied back for this permit back in 2006. Between 2011 and 2014, tests and hydro studies were conducted, and the water rights were also approved. In 2018, the pipeline plan solidified, targeting 15,000 acre-feet a year with solar power. In 2021, a draft environmental impact statement was released, opening public comment. But because of public backlash, which there should be, they stopped in May 2023. And this isn't, this is interesting because when we talk about rural sacrifice areas, go back in history, who were the rural sacrifice areas before ranchers and farmers? Indigenous Americans. And what I think is interesting about this case is there is an indigenous community that actually has water rights in that area, and this plan would just trample those water rights. So again, we're back to the Old West of taking water rights and destroying the land and livelihoods of Native Americans, not just ranchers. I mean, this involves a lot of people, and I'm pretty sure some environmental groups have gotten on board in opposition against this as well because it would drain some streams. So in 2025, BLM resumed the NEPA environmental review. I think that what they were hoping is if we stop this for now, we wait a couple years, maybe people will relax about it. The final environmental impact statement is expected in the fall of 2025, and then after 2025, hoping to get federal approval. So from everything I've read, it looks like this project is expected to move forward 2025 to 2030. Once approved, engineering, permitting, and financing will commence, and then they'll start the phase of the construction. So this is a typical thing that we've seen across the United States, and it's a troubling thing where cities, municipalities have been buying up water rights throughout the West. And with data centers, it's actually been happening in the East, which is supposed to have plenty of water, but these data centers are water hungry and they drink a lot of water. So you see these cases happening, and these larger municipalities, these metro areas, tend to always have the tipping point of the scale because of the number of voters, because of the number of people. It's the greater good for people to starve them to death by getting rid of their food supply, to the point where we're now just referring to farmers and ranchers as rural sacrifice areas like Pine Valley. But even with things like mining and power corridors, it doesn't seem like there's really going to be an end to it, but it's been accelerating for the last couple of years. I've done a lot of reporting on this channel, from the power line corridors to the data centers that are going in, to different cities taking water rights from different cities. I did a video of one down in Arizona. It's draining the livelihoods of rural Americans, and it's not just impacting them, it's impacting indigenous people, it's impacting the environment. It's impacting the overall sustainability of our country. It kind of reminds me of the common phrase, "The world ain't big enough for the two of us." And I'm not one of those people who's going around saying, the population is getting out of control. I think it is getting pretty high, but I kind of figure that's up to God to correct, not us. It is concerning how we're managing our growth. It's concerning how, we've just kind of allowed ourselves to take from other areas. And the thing is most of those residents in Cedar City, most of the people moving to Cedar City, they don't understand the impact, and they don't care. But part of the reason why they don't care is because they're not educated enough on the impact that them moving to those areas is having on, you know, on the environment, on indigenous Americans, and on farmers and ranchers. And if they were aware of it and they don't care, well, that's just wrong. So I wanted to do this video because this is a pipeline with a price. It's a price that is going to weigh heavily on all of the ranchers in Pine Valley. It's going to, I think, have a large impact on the state of Utah. It's one that I don't see an easy solution to. Cedar City is growing. It's growing massively, and it doesn't have the water to support its growth. But it also reflects kind of what I view as a growing trend across the United States. And a lot of what I think, you know, in areas like Oregon, a lot of the things that you see going on with water conservation, I think a lot of it is intentionally being done to impact farmers, ranches, and rural communities so that the cities can continue to grow. There's a war over natural resources. There's only, you know, natural resources are somewhat limited in supply. They can replenish themselves, and water never really goes away. It just, you know, gets moved around. But as it gets moved around and it gets concentrated into areas where there's just these massive cities being built, these mega regions, I've done a lot of videos on those, it's having an impact on every rural citizen. And because rural citizens are in the way of that growth, because a lot of rural farmers and ranchers control ancient water rights that they've had for a long time, and indigenous tribes have water rights that they've negotiated within their treaties and their reservations, they all stand in the way of progress. And if you're somebody like Cedar Point, you just steamroll right through that progress. So pay attention to this case. If you are in Utah, you should definitely comment on the BLM's environmental impact study. This is a project that, if it goes through, according to hydrologists, will have an immense impact on the ranchers of Utah and in stream flows, you name it. I mean, this is going to have a huge environmental impact. Anyway, guys, until next time, stay safe.